Hello, and welcome to Awaken. This is where we share insights to the connection between science and spirituality for self-discovery, joy, and freedom. I am your host and spiritual coach, Stephanie Rouch, and it is my absolute pleasure to be here today with Tracy Cochran. Tracy has studied and practiced meditation for almost 50 years, and in addition to her recent book, Presence, her writings have appeared in the New York Times and in many other publications. She is the director of Parabola magazine, an acclaimed spiritual quarterly, and the founder of the Hudson River Sangha, which now meets online. And even before we hopped on, she was already sharing her message of presence with me, and I can't wait to dive more into it and give everyone a taste of this power of presence that we all have access to find peace and freedom and joy. So Tracy, thank you for being here, and tell us about your personal connection to presence.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be in this space. And as we exchanged by email, and even this morning, I invited you to, I'll do it, mention my voice. I have an unusual raspy voice, and you've heard similar kinds of voices coming out of RFK Jr. and other Kennedys. And the point in terms of presence is that things happen. Things just happen. Like it's happened to my voice 10 years ago, or you wake up one cold morning and the power's out. And the invitation that presence offers is that I can be with this. I can be with this in a kind and open way. Presence is embodied attention. And when I can let myself just come back to the body, come back to the present moment, I can open to a kind of attention inside that's very alert, very open, very gentle and vast. And even if I have a bumpy voice or my morning starts in a bumpy way, I can meet this with kindness, with acceptance. And so presence is something, it's right here. It's here. And it's also underlying every ancient tradition. Buddhism, centering prayer and Christianity. There's knowing about what it can mean to come home to a deeper kind of attention. But it's not something fictitious. It's embodied awareness, body, heart, mind. So,
Thank you for sharing. And I feel like a lot of our listeners may be people who are just getting into their own spirituality and intuition, or maybe very far along. But for a lot of people that start with meditation, there's this almost sense that the goal is to like dissolve from your body and transcend your body. And you're talking really about something very different. That's this embodied awareness. Can you tell us more about the power that embodied awareness has in finding peace and self-love?
yeah, totally. The impulse when we begin is to, like you said, we want to transcend. Of course we do. Our lives feel like a mess, a painful mess. And we want to get up above it.
Yeah.
Or else we want to perfect ourselves and get better, 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 better. So we're like little ninjas, performing perfectly. And the truth is that we can be with exactly what's happening with a kinder and more gentle attention. And we think, I certainly did for a long, long time. I thought spiritual practice meant thinking different things and being really smart in a new way. And I discovered over a long, long time that it's more about sinking kindly into what's happening. Can I be here? Can I be here? It's almost like having a wonderful guide dog, a kind of a kind and attentive friend who's with me. So if my voice is bumpy or the power goes out or everything goes upside down, it's like having this kind, attentive, wise friend. It's close to the body, close to sensation, close to that feeling of being here in body. And attention that is so close to sensation is letting me know it's okay. It's okay. You can meet the situation with kindness, with compassion, with wisdom. And words, it doesn't have to do with words, but with the quality of attention. It's like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. It's okay.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I can already feel my shoulders sinking down my back a little bit and coming into my heart as you're saying that, because listeners may have picked up on my power went out this morning. And so I was a little bit frazzled when coming online and saying hi to Tracy and trying to get all arranged. Still don't have power, but have some backup sorts of things. So Tracy is offering me this in addition to all the listeners, whatever the example is of the thing that any of us are going through at any particular time, that it's not necessarily something to be overcome or avoided or dealt with, but there's an invitation you're offering to be with it.
Uh, and of course, we want things to work out, and we try the best we can to get the power out. Or I work with my body, my voice, but at the same time, to know that we have a capacity for an embodied attention. And again, this doesn't mean turn towards yourself with a kind of striving, but it's more making space, turning towards yourself with a kind attitude. Instead of our usual striving, I must fix something or do better. Instead, can I have an attitude of curiosity and compassion? Can I touch in with how it feels to be me right now without thinking about how I can fix it, but with an attitude of friendliness and spaciousness? and letting be and be discovered. It isn't giving in and giving in, giving up. It's opening up to innate capacity for resilience, creativity, responsiveness.
Lovely. Lovely. So let's talk about your book. You have a book out, Presence, the Art of Being at Home in Yourself. And like what you're saying here, you really emphasize this importance of being fully present as a path to freedom and joy. And I'm curious, for people who are really intrigued and want to get started, what are some practices that they could try right now?
Well, first of all, the book contains many, many stories, and I'm an older person, so I've had many adventures and many, many mishaps. And so I hope you'll pick up a copy of the book because it's full of adventures and misadventures. And the aim throughout is what we've been talking about. To begin to see that everything we have to deal with, and we have so much to deal with now, especially younger people. And I mean, with apologies, we've given you a world that's such a mess on every front. And is there another way for me to be in this life that can be a way of flourishing and growth and liberation so that I can give back? That, for example, I mean, there are many stories, and we all have our own of time. I wanted to call the book The Night I Died and Other Stories, but the publisher said no. And I invite you to pick up the book and read about that, but to ask yourself, hasn't there been a time in your life when you thought it was curtains for you, when a job ended, or a relationship ended, or your dreams crashed and burned? We've all had a night when we died, thought we would die, and discovered the point of my book and my practice is to share that in the midst of that, we can find this presence, this attention, this capacity to connect with life in a warm-hearted and open way, to begin again and again and again and again, because we have these moments all the time. Even a tiny moment when the power goes out, it's like, oh no. And there's something that can be with it. And it leaves that taste. Oh, I could be with this. And we are here to discover we're not just what happens to us. We're not just our stories. Our happiness and our openness doesn't depend on things working out the way we think they should. And again, I can see that you get it. I don't mean give up.
Yeah.
I mean, open up
Mhm. Mhm. Soften.
and soften, do less,
Mhm.
do less pushing and stopping and fixing, and shift towards willingness. I'm willing to be here, to be present,
Mhm.
to be open to what is being offered to me.
Beautiful. Something you said about how you are using this practice of presence in yourself to almost, I I don't want to fill in anything that is, so you can correct me if any of this is wrong, but you're using this practice to heal and come to terms with your own life and purpose, and the motivation is I want to be of service. I want to be able to help. And in order to do that, I have to address the any any issues within myself that need healing. And this has been a theme quite a bit with this Awaken series, that there's such a need for self-love. And we hear self-love and may think, especially women, especially raised in certain cultural paradigms where we're expected to give and to self-sacrifice as a virtue. And I'm wondering if you can speak to that a little bit, how self-love is the pathway to being of service.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. So important. We are starving for our own mercy,
Mm.
loving acceptance, starving. And the path, and this applies to ancient paths, I think, begins with extending that loving awareness, that presence to the parts of ourselves that hurt, that are enraged, that are used to being rejected by us. And when we turn our attention inward, there may be some restlessness or anger, or I don't like this, and we want to push it away. It's exactly those parts that need our loving and unconditional acceptance. And there's a mantra I love from Thich Nhat Hanh where he says, "Darling, I'm here for you."
Mm.
And I practice saying that to the parts of myself that are the most negative, is competitive or angry or whatever you think is not spiritual,
Mhm.
to grant yourself complete and loving unconditional acceptance. And I'll say something else that might seem provocative, um, but that's what I'm here for. I think women in particular, and I've studied spiritual traditions and practices for a long, long, long time, for almost 50 years, since my teen years. And I've come to see that men very well practicing being selfless, going beyond ego, and having a taste of that. Women need to practice this embodied self empowerment, laying claim to their lives and their right
Yes.
to take up space and manifest bounty
Mhm.
and flourish. And it's exactly there where the power of this loving presence is most potent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I completely agree from my own life and from my peers and just what I've observed. And and respect all of the experience that you've had as well. And so it's very validating to hear you say that from your experience too, because even my first few years of practicing meditation were very much in the Buddhist and Vipassana traditions. And it was difficult for me to really connect because I've always been really open-hearted and have always kind of ventured towards self-sacrifice and martyrdom. And that those practices almost encouraged that sort of transcendence of ego. But for empaths, and a lot of women are empaths, and a lot of women are told your value is in how you take care of other people, how you show up for your partner and your children and your family and your community. It's not as much in who you are as an individual. So even that being baked into the spiritual practices can be confusing. And I only want to emphasize it and invite you to emphasize it again too, for women wanting to connect and feeling that challenge, or maybe feeling very spiritual, but then finding, but in my relationships, people are still taking advantage of me, but I'm very connected to spirit and my heart is open. And so just how that can show up for a lot of women.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, and I just need validation and emphasis that we are given these forms, this ancient form. And, I have, on my book has a blurb from Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi, great Vipassana Theravada teacher. These forms that teach us to turn towards ourselves with attention and be still, and then understand that our intention is to rediscover ourselves, to bring ourselves into full wholeness, to come to life. And as we turn this presence and understand this attention we turn towards ourselves is not cold.
Yeah.
It's inherently warm and loving. Then we begin to really see parts of ourselves that have been conditioned to be self-sacrificing and viciously self-critical.
Mm-hmm.
If we want something, God forbid, or, and to realize that we're here to see that all of this has happened and we are also that loving attention, that presence that sees. We are here to touch the earth, to rediscover that we belong. We belong to this life. We belong here. And that we are given this possibility, this presence to fully flourish, to heal, starting with ourselves. Every single one of those parts inside you, that little girl, that teenage girl, young woman, to grant them our loving acceptance, not toleration, but I love you, to let them know they're loved, opening to the possibility of bringing that same healing to every part of our lives. That's what shines out. That shines out and helps the world.
Have you found in your practice and in working with clients that validation and approval we seek must be given by ourselves even before we can accept it from anyone else?
Yeah, it's true, but it's helpful to find noble friends, as the Buddha put it, and someone who can shine that back. that you are fully welcome here.
Mm.
And not just good Stephanie, but wild Stephanie. You know, the whole of you.
Yeah.
Welcome here.
Mm.
Welcome and good in the sense that everything we are has a wish, under it all, a wish to be here, to participate in life, to flourish, to be safe,
Mm.
be free.
Mm. Wow. This is just so beautiful. And I I know we've talked about your book, and for those who are listening and really feeling already like the past 20 minutes has allowed you to change even the how you feel like you're showing up right now. If you feel a little calmer or a little more hopeful, that every moment offers this invitation, I definitely encourage you to check out Tracy's book, Presence, The Art of Being at Home in Yourself. And you told us that this includes adventures and misadventures and some exercises as well. Is there anything else that readers can expect from experiencing this book?
I also hope, and I was flattered to hear that it's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's fun to read. And I think we're at a point in life where we don't need another lecture, do we? We need good company, some good tales, and a supportive friend. And that's what I hope to be, and I hope this book is. And my ultimate aim, is to help us all realize that we can be a safe place for ourselves, a sanctuary, a refuge, a good place to come home to.
Mm. And are you willing to share with us what are some of the practices that you like to engage in on a regular basis to feel at home in yourself and to give yourself that love?
Well, I'm a meditation teacher, and the best thing I find to do is to begin by, and I begin every day, but there are no rules. Some people late in the day, they like to sit. It's wonderful to just sit down and bring the attention to yourself. And with eyes closed, if you're comfortable with closed eyes, and notice how it feels to be here. And notice for yourself, there is a knowing and awareness is already here. It's here. You don't have to strive for it. And notice that this attention, this kind attention, softens everything it touches. And let everything be just like it is. Like if tension's here, let tension be here. Fatigue, hopefulness, whatever is here, notice that this presence accepts it with kindness and curiosity and compassion. And it's helpful to just bring the attention to the body and sensation, to the feet on the floor, sensation of being present. And notice that this sensation naturally connects to awareness. An awareness that sees with kindness, acceptance, And see that you can let everything happen to you, thinking, feeling, picturing, and gently bring the attention back to the body without striving or correcting, but just letting yourself be upright, present. Notice how it feels to be completely accepted with love, to be welcome here. And notice that there's a presence here that's not the same as thinking, not the same as a story you tell yourself. It's just present, accepting, loving. Notice that you can rest in this presence. Come home to it by coming home to body, to being mindful of body in the present moment, mindful of feeling, of thought, present. And allow yourself to feel how it feels to be completely, lovingly accepted. Just like this.
Feels good. It's so soothing, so grounding. Thank you for that gift to me and all the listeners. And for those who are wanting more, you generously do share a number of meditations and writings on your blog. So people can find that at your website, tracycochran.org. What all can they find there?
Invitation to meditation sessions, and I'm going to be teaching some courses coming up. So check it out, and please feel welcome.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing your power of presence. I feel so much better and nourished since we first started talking. So it's very contagious in a positive way. And thank you for being part of Awaken.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm honored.
Thank you for tuning in to this amazing interview as part of our Awaken series. I hope you found value. Check out the rest of the interviews on Awaken. Keep tuning in, and please subscribe to Paradigm Expansions to stay in touch, where we are doing more events like this, and we are all about dropping in to your heart, to your true self, to really, truly love your life. Thank you for joining. See you on the next video.